Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, video gamers. This is the Hit Start Podcast, and this is our first ever premium episode. And I am one of your hosts, Stickers. And with me, as always,
Marshy, what's up, guys?
Hey, you're frozen, Marshy. Your camera's frozen.
Yeah, my internet's like up to crap.
Alright.
So,
Our first guest today is Aimee Smith, a voice actor who has worked on a range of projects including Siegecraft Commander, Freedom Planet, and a whole heap more. So, Aimee, please introduce yourself and give us a little bit about you.
Hi guys, sorry, I'm just laughing at Marshy's face because it's just permanently smiling right now. I love it.
is it?
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
I'm black on
Great.
this.
I'm so sorry. So I'm Aimee Smith. So as you can hear, I'm an Australian voice actress, and as you mentioned, I'm typically known for the roles of Mila from Freedom Planet, Alicia from Battlerite, and Katara from Siegecraft Commander.
Yep.
I love what I do. Yeah, I'm typically known as a character voice actress, but I also do a lot of the more non-glorious work of voiceover, and I do a lot of non-broadcast, so like IVR work, and I do some commercial and stuff like that too.
Yeah, we had a look at your website to know a little bit about you, of course.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. But I recently took the plunge into full-time voiceover as of this year, so I've just been doing it for a few weeks now. But yeah, it's been a really interesting journey over the last 7-8 years now.
So
geez.
You've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, so I've just been doing it part-time since 2011 while I was studying in university to be a primary school teacher, actually.
Oh,
and then at the end of last year, I spoke to my boss and had basically said, look, I want to pursue voiceover full-time, which was a really hard conversation to have.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm currently trying to plug away and will eventually be looking for agency representation. But as of so far, all the work that I've gotten so far has kind of been hustle of voiceover.
Yeah. So, like, that's a big jump. How did you
manage?
Yeah, how do you manage? Like, that's a big jump from going like to obviously a full-time employment with a company that pays bills and stuff to
Freelancing?
Or like freelancing, I guess.
Well, yeah, so
For now.
it is. It's very much freelance at the moment. I have a very supportive husband, but it's also just been a matter of building up that clientele for the last few years as well, and just evaluating how my budget's been and if the likelihood of me doing this full-time is possible. And I would never recommend just going straight into voiceover full-time. It's been a very natural process. So I'd been doing it just out of fun for the first couple of years, and then I eventually... as a teacher, I went from full-time to part-time to extra part-time, and then eventually just decided I've got to do it now and build up a little bit more momentum. And only 3 weeks in, very glad I've done it.
Awesome. As I said, like, that's a huge jump.
Especially after Christmas too.
It's hard.
So, what got you into voice acting?
So it was basically, I'd loved drama my whole life. I'd done musical theatre while I was in high school, and then I realised that when I was studying to be a primary school teacher, I didn't have the time to dedicate 2 and 3 nights a week to recording for a show. And then I did a little bit of extra work on screen in a show that I don't even think ended up airing in Australia anyway.
Oh, God.
But I kind of, I know, but I kind of just realised none of that voiceover was for me, and it didn't fit my lifestyle. And so I just looked into different forms of acting. So obviously went stage, screen, and then voice. And I was like, I never even form of acting, which is a bit silly because we're constantly surrounded by it. And then I kind of thought, how do I get started in there? Looked at a couple of websites, and at the time, one of them that I got involved with was the Voice Acting Alliance, which for the last couple of years has been shut down. But then another one I was looking at, which is still around today, been recently revamped, is the Voice Acting Club. And then that was kind of just my springboard in cold emailing clients, marketing my own strategies. I think we lost somebody. Oh, hello.
There we go.
He's not stuck smiling
There
anymore.
we go.
I have to turn it all off. Typical system reboot.
It scared me because my face just popped up. Like my face was really big all of a sudden. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
You can see the look of concern cross over your face.
I had to turn it on and off, so it actually unfreeze me for some reason.
No.
But it's done.
Oh, good. Sorry, Aimee, continue.
No, that's all right.
Wherever you are.
But yeah, it was just a matter of finding another form of acting that worked with my lifestyle, that worked with me studying to be a primary school teacher at the same time. And then it ended up just going from a hobby, so a couple of little paid jobs, and then I got cast in Freedom Planet in 2014, and then 2 years later ended up going over to the States and recorded at the Okratron 5000 with Christopher Sabat, who's the voice of Vegeta and so much of the cast in Dragon Ball Z.
I've just seen a bit about them actually, because I'm going to go see the movie tomorrow.
Oh wow! Oh, that'll be great. But yeah, like that experience was so phenomenal. And when I came back to like just the whole trip, like the people that I'd met and the things that I'd done, and I came back and I just said to Michael, I've got to do this. Like it devastated me kind of going over to the States and seeing what all of my friends were doing. And I was like, I can't live here. I can't work for Funimation. I can't do these sorts of things. So I've got to find a way to kind of make it work for me. And so, yeah, continued the journey of getting more non-broadcast work, which is your way of getting those repeat clients and actually turning it into a full-time business, as well as like I did 3 panels last year for conventions and just kind of getting out the word about you can still get voice actors over in Australia.
Yeah.
Particularly in the gaming industry, I think that that's massive. They don't realise that it exists. In commercials, yeah, you hear it all the time. Australia's renowned for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of been my mission over the last year. So just the fact that you can get voice actors for your games here in Australia.
Yeah, so you don't have to outsource to like America or stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it. Where you're paying US rates as well. Like I have 2 different rate cards for voiceover. One's for the US and one's for Australia. They're the same number, but the currency makes a massive difference in terms of payment. And I do that because Australians do find it a little bit harder to pay for voice talent, or they don't really consider it in the beginning. So I'm kind of stepping into having voiceover for your games because it's something I'm so passionate about. Australians make really amazing games. And I want to be a part of that process, and I want to show them that this is a service you can start considering for your games. Yeah. It's very doable.
Definitely. You've worked on like a heap of games. Like I went through your list and like there's a lot of games there.
Yeah. When Luke sent me like a little bit about you, I'm like, oh yeah, that's all right. Like, and I asked him like how big was the following and all that sort of stuff, like a project wise as well. And then I looked at like your website and I was like, what the fuck? He's like,
I am a little bit proud of that character wall. It's very visual. I love it. I'm a very visual person.
I actually like it.
I need to have that. Yeah, thank you. I'm hoping to kind of branch it out a little bit more, not in terms of the number or anything, but like applying links and things like that too. So it's still a work in progress. It's getting there.
So
I do like the highlight reels as well. They're actually a nice touch to it. You can just combine it all into one whole YouTube clip, really.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I find that with our demo reels, like that's generally your calling card. And with my character demo reel, I feel like I really need to get it. Like it's still great. Like I love the work that's been done on it, but I would just like it redone, just a couple of spots on there. And I feel like the character visual reels, they at least show some more up-to-date work and some different voices I don't necessarily have on the demo reel. So it's not something you need to have as a voice actor, but
it's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Definitely a nice touch. It shows, I guess, a client or someone that you know how to do a whole range of voices, because there's a lot of different work there in those highlight reels, and it just shows that you know how to do them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I do. I love it.
So,
go on, Luke. Sorry.
How long have you been voice acting for?
Since 2011. So yeah, but that was like very hobby-like. And then there was 1 year where I didn't actually voice act at all, and it was because I had my first class as a teacher, and I was full-time and just learning the ropes. And and then I recently moved as well, and I had so I just didn't record for a whole year. And then basically the recording over in the States for Freedom Planet 2 happened. And then that's what I mean. When I came back, I was like, I'm updating my equipment. I'm getting back into this, or I'd be an idiot and I'm always going to regret this. So so just very hobby-like, couple of pay gigs, and then suddenly it was like, no, I need to do this. I need to give it a go, or I'll always regret it.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I get that feel. I had a question then.
Straight over it.
Yeah, I just went straight over my head.
I seen you like
Yeah, I was like, yep, I've got this, and then I've lost it.
I could,
I got
I,
this.
I could see the cogs turning, Marshy.
Well, at least my video works then.
Yeah.
Um, well, since you've been voice acting, how has the industry changed since you first started? Like, how have things gotten more professional, or have you just noticed more of the nasty, gritty stuff that you didn't really want to notice? Or
The advancement of technology is a massive thing. Like, I feel like even 10 years ago to record from a home studio setup wasn't even really a thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
like an 8-track?
Yeah. Yeah, like obviously in terms of live direction as well, we really just had Skype, and now we have ISDN and Source Connect's on its way out, but there's so many other ways to be live directed from across the world too. I personally don't have those services. That's the next step for me, but obviously now we have Discord as well, so there's a lot more collaboration platforms, but that's all been advanced through technology. And obviously the type of projects that we're able to record through as well is pretty amazing. Like, the amount of commercial work you can do from home is incredible, because the only studio I've ever actually recorded in is the one in the US. Everything else that I've voiced for has been from home.
Yep.
That's virtually unheard of even like 7 years ago. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes I feel like a little bit of a fraud. I'm like, yes, I'm a voice actress. Yes, I'm doing this full time, but I've never I've stepped into a studio once to record for a job. So that's definitely a way that the industry's changed, and the fact that there's a lot more voice talent out there now. It was originally done by a very small pool of people. Obviously with trailer voices, Don LaFontaine, and but yeah, now there's a lot more work going around for voice talent. So that's definitely developed too.
Yeah, so I guess that helps you grow as well, because there's obviously more people making games and stuff like that. I feel, because the technology is getting better.
Yeah, and a lot easier to do from scratch rather than going to a big company or pitching your idea to someone else where you can just do it yourself.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, yeah, I definitely make sure that I'm always checking out the VN dev hashtags, visual novel hashtags, indie dev hashtags, game dev hashtags.
Yeah.
And a new indie studio is coming up every single day. And that's a new lead for voiceover talent. So that in itself is really amazing. Once again, was Twitter a thing 7 years ago? I don't even know. Like, that for me is such a massive... Yeah, but like, to me, that's such a massive way to communicate with different types of developers too, and their new voiceover leads. So it's really incredible.
We'll go off Twitter and stuff like that. Like, do you contact the developer, or does you just like kind of put your name out there? How do you put your name out there with the developers that are using these hashtags, hashtag game dev, hashtag indie game dev, and et cetera?
I just remember what to do.
Should I answer his question before he forgets it again?
No, that's right. Go for it.
Lock it in. There's a couple of ways that I kind of market myself. So one of the first ways is if a game developer happens to follow me on Twitter, I'll have a look at their work and I'll follow them back and send them a message and say, hey, notice you followed me. Followed you back, love what you're doing with insert name of project here. If you need voice talent, please feel free to get in contact at blah, 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 blah. So that's one way that I kind of approach contacting a new lead. Another way is just obviously using that game dev hashtag, and I scroll through the list of projects and I happen to find one that I really connect with, and I have a look at a video and see if they already have voice talent. If they don't, I say, hey, were you considering voice talent? Once again, check out these links.
Yep.
Contact me at my email address if you're interested for a free audition. And then another way is obviously like me pushing out my work as well. So if I do have a visual demo reel, if I do have just a new demo reel out, or I've been cast in a project, then I'll use those hashtags as well. And then sometimes that generates new leads too.
Yep.
But like, there's just so many different things that you can do with Twitter, and I've got a whole lot of other means of communicating with other game developers too. Like, there's a whole lot of lists available out on the internet, ones that you don't need to pay for, or one that I go through too is called Game Dev Map, and it doesn't by all means go through every single indie game developer in the world, but it goes through some of the main ones in every single country. So once again, I'll go through there, scroll through their work and see if I can offer them something that they don't necessarily have. So to find voiceover work, and that's just through cold emailing. So
So I guess a lot of cold emails and cold call sort of thing. At the end of the day, it's a lot of cold calling.
Yeah, it is. Like, obviously, you already have that repeat client base, but it doesn't always run itself. You constantly need to be contact. Sorry, his face disappeared.
Oh, yeah,
Do you have your water with you too?
I was just getting it.
Sorry, I'm like so distracted by video. So, I forgot what I was saying. Oh dear.
Cold calling.
I'm like a squirrel.
I just thought of hoodwink then.
What I was thinking of too. What is it? Over the hedge and hoodwinked. They're the two really chaotic squirrels.
Yeah, the hoodwink one where he drinks coffee.
Yes, I love that movie. I was looking at that the other day. I have no idea. I have no idea what we're talking about now. I'm just thinking of squirrels.
Oh well.
Let's see, how can we get back on track? I would love to voice a squirrel one day. There you go.
What question that I had? So when you first started out, like getting your name out there, I know we touched on it a little bit, but did you go ahead and make some demos of just random voices you in, like maybe what do you call them? Parody, like a parody voice towards any certain characters or anything like that, or did you just go? What was that?
I dropped something.
Yeah.
Oh God, don't do that to me.
That put me off a little bit then. Did you do a parody, like parody, or did you just make up a character yourself, or did you just go straight to the auditions?
Yeah, so basically, like my current character demo reel, you don't need to. It's just I personally did. A lot of those voices are characters that I already voiced for. A couple of them are auditions, but they don't need to be any of that. Like you can get somebody to write you, like a couple of lines of script for each character and just put that on a demo reel. So it doesn't actually need to be from anything. It's preferable if it's not copyrighted, but it's not really a big deal either, particularly for commercial work. Like if you want to use some of those brand names, you can. Australia and America kind of have different rules in regards to that. I'm so sorry. My dog is going mental at the moment.
That's all right.
Yeah, I can.
I'm so sorry. I will be one moment. She's not normally like this.
No, that's all right.
I'm so sorry.
Oh.
To our listeners, if you are interested in following our guest today, make sure you go over to Twitter and follow at Aimee Smith VA, or you can go to her website to see what work she's done, and that would be www.aimesmithva.com. Aimee is spelled AIMEE. So that again is www.aimesmithva.com.
Hi guys, I'm so sorry. I didn't know somebody had knocked on the door and that's why she was going crazy. But anyway, she's good for now.
Oh, that was actually perfect. That was actually perfect timing. It ended it like as you spoke. I was just finishing saying promoting you. Yeah, like just saying where to find you and stuff like that.
Oh, that's great. That's
perfect. Like it was an actual perfect timing. I felt like it.
That's great.
Like I just stopped talking as you jumped on. Like, oh my god, I feel like I've said something bad, but obviously I. You know, hey.
No, it's fine. We totally planned it. We teamed it well.
All right. So where were we?
Oh, so voice demo reel.
Voice demo reel.
Yeah, so basically, if you are looking at a voice demo, it doesn't need to be previous jobs that you've done or any auditions that you've done. It can be literally anything. General rule of thumb, though, the demo shouldn't be longer than 1:30, and that's really across the board for your character demos and your commercial demos. And the first voice is typically your own, or as close to your own as possible. Character. And I think a lot of people, and I'm completely guilty of this on my character demo reel as well, focus too much on the versatility as opposed to the emotional believability. And that each character has a distinct purpose and has something to say instead of just putting on a funny voice. And I know that I'm guilty of it. I've been guilty of it for my last two. And I listen to it and I cringe because I know better now. But that's just a general rule of thumb to follow by as well. But yeah, it can literally be anything.
Yeah,
I get that.
So what kind of steps do you take to learn a new voice, or is it just kind of like, bang, I got this? Or is there ways to learn a new voice?
So Dave Fennoy had actually made a comment about this. He had said that it's really important to have pockets of characters, and I think that this is where impressionism comes in, which we were talking about a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Like I personally think that projects as Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy from My Little Pony and Starfire and Raven from Teen Titans Go and that kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, I feel like I can do an okay impression of them, but that doesn't necessarily make me a voice actor. I need to be able to look at character concept art or a character description with sample lines and really understand how that character would approach those lines and the intent behind those words. So it's really kind of knowing where your voice naturally lies and then figuring out how you're going to create a character around that. So, for example, with Mila, and because she just links so perfectly to this example, Fluttershy was my comfort zone because I'd voiced her in so many different types of projects. And when I had auditioned for Mila, I had probably too much Fluttershy influence in there. And I was like, how am I going to make her different? And I'd actually remembered saying this to Stephen, the developer. And I was like, I don't think I like my audition. I like elements of it, but I was like, the voice type doesn't work for her because one, Fluttershy is a Pegasus and Mila's a dog. Like something's not adding up here. She can't have the exact same voice. And so I had to break down that character. I looked at Mila and I'm like, okay, well, for starters, she's young. Okay, Fluttershy is young too, but Fluttershy has a bit more of a maturity. And because Mila's a dog, she's going to be much more energetic. And so as a result, her intonation is going to go up and down. She's much more excitable. She's much more energetic. She needs to have this type of panting to her. There needs to be much more higher pitched elements to her voice. And so that's how I ended up starting from a pocket of a voice that I could fit comfortably into actually creating a character. So I feel like that's really important. So just knowing, okay, I can do this, 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 and this well. How can I branch outside of that to fill the specs of a different kind of role?
It's kind of like living in their skin sort of thing. Almost, well, actually exactly like an actor, wouldn't it be? So you'd have to learn their personality, their traits, and then just kind of incorporate your voice
into
that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, even though it's just voice, like, it's still most importantly acting. And I think I even need to remind myself of that quite a lot. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, this would be the perfect voice for the character. But if I don't believe what I'm saying, nobody else is going to believe it either. So the acting definitely comes first and foremost, which is why I think some voice actors have a bit of a problem when they say to people, oh, yes, I'm a voice actor. And they're like, oh, I am too. Like, I can do a great impression of this character. And it's like, yeah, like you can create an impression of a character within a particular scenario that you've heard them do, but how would they do it if they were completely devastated? How would they do it if they were calling out to somebody, if that person was really close? Or, it's just, you've got to not just fit the mold, but you've got to think,
what would they
react
do?
in different types and circumstances, in order to really be that character.
But Miller was Freedom Planet. Who was the other one? I'm looking on your website and I can't find it. The other one you were talking about? So you were Miller and
the Pegasus. I think you were talking about. Is that what you
Fluttershy. Oh, yeah, I don't have her on my website because I'm not her official voice or anything.
Okay.
So the ones on my website are only like those released on Steam or consoles or mobile games. Yeah, so no, I don't put her on there. I don't want to give people the wrong impression.
I'm just looking.
I just did it for fun projects.
I'm looking, I'm like, I can't find anything. Oh,
if I voiced Fluttershy, you would know. that would be advertised everywhere.
Yeah. All right. Now I can stop searching frantically for that. I'm trying to find it.
I thought it was stress wrinkles.
Stress wrinkles, Jesus.
I could have listed so many characters and you'd have been like, no, not that one, not that one. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Am I even looking on the right website?
Here we go.
That's funny.
Oh, boy. I feel like I have a bit of fun on this show, I think.
I can relax a little bit now.
Yeah, have a water.
Let's do this.
With the voice acting community, you said it was growing. Well, it would be growing with the vast amount of games that have been produced at this current moment. Is it a big friendly kind of collaborative community, or is it just something they're just trying to like dog eat dog world sort of thing, or is it kind of a balance of both?
Oh my
You
goodness.
find?
It is so friendly. I could imagine it being
Yeah.
completely different. Like, I know it's completely different from stage acting, and I could imagine it's very different from screen acting.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh, I could give you so many examples. One of the ones I will refer to, though, I was actually scouted for this game, which probably would have been the biggest of my career so far. So it meant a lot to me. And in the end, I was cast, I got the role, and then I ended up sending over some voice actors to the developer because I was like, oh, yeah, if you want some other voice talent, I have people that I've worked with and they're really great. And, they took me up on the offer. And then they ended up getting the character art changed. So, like, she was a completely different age, completely different aesthetic.
Oh, wow.
And so I re-auditioned for her, and unfortunately I didn't get it. And it wasn't bad at all. Like, I did sign a contract. I ended up getting paid for everything. Like, nothing had gone badly at all with it. Like, obviously I was devastated because it would have been a massive role for me.
Yeah.
But everything was fine with the developer. But anyway, one of the other voice actors who and she actually works in casting as well, she had private messaged me and said, look, I just want to check with you. This role has actually gone up for public audition, and I know that you'd already been cast in it. Is everything okay? Because they'd asked me if I could help out with casting too. And I just found it to be so nice. Like, she wanted to check that everything had gone down appropriately before she had launched into it. But that's really just the fact of the matter is, if I'm not right for a role, I'm going to recommend it to somebody else. And the same happens to me constantly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Every week on Twitter. I have a fellow voice actor who just private messages me jobs that I might not have seen. It's a really, really lovely online environment. I could imagine it just being very, very different from stage and screen. And I don't know if you guys have heard about everything going on with My Time at Porsche as well.
No.
A massive indie game. It's a massive indie game at the moment. It's number 1 on Steam, and there's been some issues with the voice actors and payment. It's called My Time at Porsche. It's number 1 on Steam at the moment.
My Time at Porsche.
Yes, they've got over 60 voice actors involved, and there's been a lot of issues with communication and payments, and basically all the voice actors have like shared stories with it, and they've all supported one another and retweeted things that are going wrong with the company because they've had private emails and lots of warnings about their behavior towards voice over talent. And everyone's just kind of sticking up for each other really well. It's just a really, really lovely community.
Well, that's good. Like, you don't think it would be kind of so sunshine and rainbows. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you would
think there'd be someone
competitive.
Yeah, like a dog. Everyone's competing to get that one job, sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna like throw you onto the bus just to get ahead. So,
and don't get me wrong. Like, it is competitive, but the fact of the matter is, doing that is just going to exile you from the community, exile you in the eyes of developers too, and you lose out because in the end there is enough work to go around. Like, we're only talking about character work, but there's so many different fields of voiceover. Like, the fact that your phone talks back to you now, somebody is voicing that. So
I wanted to know who Siri was. who actually did Siri? Or Google?
But I did see an interview with her. I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But like, every time you're on a train, like, they're telling you where you're going. Movie trailers. It's just, there's so much out there that there's no need to be petty over one job. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
You put your name out there at the same time.
Yeah, like I have an idea online of what my like who my direct competition pretty much are in the field. So there are a couple of people who I have a look at roles and I'm like, oh, I know this person's going to be auditioning for this role. I know this person's going to be auditioning. And then in the end, sometimes they get it. What are you going to do? In the end, it balances out.
Yeah, that's true. No, that was actually going to bring me up to the next question. Would it make it actually difficult for you when you're competing against your friends for jobs or like really close colleagues? Would it make it difficult, or you just kind of you don't really care about that sort of thing because, as you said, it balances out? Would that,
like, in the end, like, my aim, like, as of this month, has been to send out 10 auditions a day.
Oh, wow.
really.
That's a lot. Is that a lot or
Yeah,
like?
it-
It
10 a
seems-
day, so
Yeah,
there's
it
31
is.
days
Like,
in this
some
month,
people-
so 310.
yeah, like, oh, well, I
That's
don't do
what.
Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, I don't do Saturday and Sunday, but that's what I aim for. I don't necessarily hit that all the time. Like, some days are better than others, but in the
Yeah.
end, like, you audition and then you have to forget about it because you're doing so many of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's not time to dwell on that one job unless it's a really amazing job.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of time to dwell on it because a lot of it you don't get feedback for. You might get 1 out of 10, and that's a really good test.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't know. It personally doesn't get to me. There's probably been a handful of roles that I haven't gotten that I have been like devastated about in 7 years.
Yeah.
No, well,
Too bad.
that's good to know.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
a good mindset.
Yeah.
And especially like someone coming into that, someone new to the community sort of thing, that like it's I guess it would be a welcoming community, and it's like that makes everything so much easier if a community is super welcoming.
Yeah, it is. Like, there's a lot of people you can follow on Twitter who constantly repost casting calls. That will, like, they do follow Fridays as well. So if you're a new voiceover talent, they might say, "Oh, I've checked out this person's work. They're doing really well. They're killing it in the voiceover world." And then, suddenly they get a little bit more recognition. And no, it's really lovely.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's great.
I was just reading about my time in Porsche, what you were talking about, that they were withholding payments to its voice actors for several months, blah, blah, blah. Man, that's crazy. Like, I was just reading it now. I like doing my research.
It's a shame because it's a beautiful. I actually voice acted for these guys. Yeah, I got cast in Planet Explorers. I don't even talk about it a lot, to be honest, because of it wasn't the most enjoyable experience.
Of course.
But back in 2012, in 2012, and then I had dealings with them up until 2016, and then I eventually ended up just cutting ties with them towards the end of that year. And then they've done a casting call for my time at Porsche, and like the whole voiceover community, and then obviously fans of the game and stuff have started speaking out and saying, like, we're not going to buy this game until voiceover talent have been paid properly. And
that's good. Yeah, awesome.
It's just like it's like if we can voice act for small indie game developers who can be so respectful of voiceover talent and make sure they're credited appropriately and pay appropriately and pay on time and are good communicators, and they're doing small visual novels and things like that. If they can do that, surely a number one top seller on Steam can do that. There's no excuse.
Oh yeah, that'd be
100%.
Like that'd be bringing in a lot of money. Just from that, and they're not paying your actors. Okay, come on, like you're burning bridges that don't have to be burnt.
That's it, and and like all of the voice actors know about it now, and it's just not. I don't know how they're going to get voice talent again. They'll probably need to have a voiceless game.
Because you never know. Some newbies could roll in there that haven't got a clue.
Yeah,
and that's probably the only way they're going to get through.
Yeah,
but,
it'd be a shame, but
they'll learn.
You learn the hard way, unfortunately, and that is the game development company that.
Yeah.
Be honest, because I remember that they had sent me an email while I was recording for Freedom Planet 2 and had wanted more voiceover, and I was kind of like, I know better now. Like I know what studio should be like. I know what the communication should be like. I know what the payment should be like, and it was just a bad lesson to learn. But I felt like I grew a lot more, and I grew my business a lot more as a result of it. And it might take them a few more games to realise how many bridges they've burnt.
Oh, yeah, they should have realised after this. But
yeah, they should have, but I don't know. Hopefully it all works out in the end.
Okay, so
well, it's good to see.
So we'll continue to move. Do you have multiple roles or going at the same time?
Yeah, pretty much all the time. Like I'm working on a few. It's so funny because in my first couple of years of doing this, I was never cast in a visual novel, but this year just seems to be the year for visual novels.
Okay, yeah. Is that all the YouTube stuff, isn't it? Yeah. Really.
Well, there's a lot that I haven't announced just yet, but I've got about 4, I think, that I'm voice acting in at the moment that I've just been cast in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know, it's not exactly all happening at once. It's just you might do your initial batch of lines, and then a couple of days later or a couple of weeks later, then they might ask for some pickups or revisions. And
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, you very rarely just have one role going on for a week and then next week you have a new role. And I don't know, it's just always coming in and out, which is nice.
So,
The magical voice actor fairy go to work.
How do you juggle? Like, how do you juggle that? Because you're doing like 5-6 different jobs at once, and you got 6 different voices that you have to be learning. Like that seems like obviously a full-time job work sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it is now. Well, my desktop looks a little bit crazy at the moment. So basically, I just have a file for each. Oh, how do I explain it? For each talent roster that I'm a part of, like for example, I work with Shining Star Casting, so they have their own folder, and then in that folder, any auditions I have for them, they have their own folders, like the name of the project. And like I'm on the roster with Sound Cadence, so they have their own folder. So I have like 2 columns of like just talent agencies that I'm a part of, not exclusive agencies though. And then I have other folders on my desktop for isolated jobs.
Yeah.
So they're currently littering my desktop. And then if I just want a voice reference, I just go back into there and I listen to the audition that I did for that role.
Okay, yep.
And then in my emails, I have just the gold starring system. So I'll just star a project that I need to respond to, or I need to do an audition or a pickup for.
One second.
And then I've also got.
Sorry.
Is that your dog?
Is
that your dog going off?
No, it's my son. One sec.
Oh, same. Oh, well, I wouldn't say same thing, but.
Oh, dependent. Right, my dog's really silent now, which is fabulous. Hopefully she's okay.
It's so weird. I can see him talking, but he's not actually. No sound.
Is that good now? All good?
Yeah.
I didn't actually hear anything in the background.
I took my microphone out.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, did you mute us or something?
I couldn't find him. I was looking for the mute button. I'm like, where the hell's the mute button? The mute button's right where my phone was.
That'd be wrong.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Continue. Don't let me interrupt.
No, it's all good. So I've got my desktop folders, I've got my starring system through emails, and then I also have a weekly planner here that I always keep next to my desk as well. So obviously just the days of the week, and then I write down jobs, and then I just do a tally system of how many jobs I've completed that day. Same thing for auditions.
Yep.
So at lunch, like while I'm having lunch, I'll put down the fact that I want to do emails, and then on one day I might be focusing on my game dev map, so finding 5 new game developers I haven't contacted before, or using a hashtag, or using LinkedIn, or whatever, like the changes per day. And then documenting my afternoon process, and I always write down payments that I'm owed, and then I tick it when it's actually paid. And so there's a lot of the admin type of side too that I kind of needed to teach myself. I didn't do any of this previously, so I'm still getting used to my system at the moment as well.
Yeah,
but I'd be better off. Like, then you'll keep track of things, and if stuff starts getting hectic, then you've kind of got it all laid out. Okay, I can get into organisation mode. Bang.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I was quite fortunate in the fact that my background is a primary school teacher as well. So I'm used to being very structured and organised. And my husband jokes all the time and says that his least favourite word in the whole English language is productive. I use it all the time, and he hates it. He's really, really productive today, and he's like, "Oh, no."
that sounds terrible. Thing. That sounds terrible. Absolutely terrible. Productive. Ugh.
Hey, you mean you got to do things? But yeah, it just makes it easier in the long run, honestly, right? Like, I've never forgotten a job yet. So this system, it's working so far. So.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially since now you're going real full time now, aren't you? So you kind of need those systems in place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I've got the weekly planner, and then I have a massive, what size is it? Is it A2? A2 sized year planner. So it's just like writing upon writing. Sometimes I think feel like I'm writing more than I'm actually voice acting.
Yeah. So, how long does like a typical job take? I guess it would vary job to job, but like I guess what's your longest, what's your shortest, sort of thing.
So I could probably maybe do 750 words in the space of an hour, but that includes editing and everything as well.
Yep.
So I generally, like, depending on the type of project, I might charge per hour or I'll charge per word, obviously, depending on if it's like a massive studio who's requiring the voiceover or it's just an indie developer.
Yep.
And I'm always flexible when I'm working with indie developers too.
Yeah.
And as per my rate sheet as well, I'll always put down that I give 2 takes.
Yep.
I like to clarify the voice type during the audition phase first, so that the 2 takes are just different emotional deliveries instead, or just different intonation, or that kind of thing. So I say 750 words. Yeah, it typically does involve the 2 takes as well, which is why it takes the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. And because, I mean, like, they want to get it right too. Like, they want to get the right sound and all that sort of thing too. And that could delay things as well.
Yeah, that's it. Like, sometimes it depends on how much information I'm given as well. So sometimes it will just be isolated lines in a Word document. You have no idea of the context. And so you're sitting there being like, maybe they meant it this way. Maybe they're talking to a group of people. Maybe they're really angry, or maybe they're just embarrassed to be talking to a whole group of people. And so in those cases, I try to pick my best 2. And then if they want further alterations, then they need to be paid for. That's why, like, that background is really, really important, or else you are there for a long amount of time pondering and you might not get the right take. So context is really important. So on how it's given to me, it might be a whole script and my parts are highlighted, or it might just be in isolation, or all of that really depends on how long the project's going to take as well.
That's what I thought the answer might be around anyway. Because I've got a bit of a background in audio engineering, so I kind of know a little bit. Yeah. Oh, I do.
I don't. I got no idea. Everything that's way over my head.
So I kind of know. What was that? I missed all that.
Are wizards. I'm just like, I can do basic editing, but honestly, when it comes to troubleshooting my software, I'm just awful. I just turn into a crumbled mess. I'm like, what do I do? Audacity isn't listening to me.
I never use that program.
Not yet.
No.
I know I have other programs, but I'm so bad at technology. I can't use them.
Fair enough. It's free anyway.
So much.
That's exactly why I don't do anything, because I got no idea. I look at this, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like, Marshy, that's you. That's all you.
Yeah, that's all my issue.
So I'm sending the file to you, Marshy?
Actually, when we recorded on Monday, he's like, I don't even know how to record it. I'm like, you just press the circle button.
That's not my job.
Okay, not
man.
I know how to do OBS, but that's it.
Yeah.
What's OBS?
OBS
Yeah,
is for it's open broadcasting software or something. It's for this is what I record off.
Right.
For Discord,
for Discord. I don't use Audacity or anything, because now I've got the video. I just take the audio from the video and upload that. That's the easiest way that I know how to do it. It seems a bit backwards, but then I get the video as well. So
yeah, cool.
So OBS, and you can stream off it as well, Twitch stream and stuff like that. This is what Twitch streamers use.
Yeah, I've got to learn how to do all this. I'm just not prepared to learn a new program.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh, look, once you learn one program, you just stick to that. That's your preference. There's heaps of different softwares for like audio stuff, as well as film and all that sort of stuff. And everyone always has that argument, oh, this one's better than the other. But it's just, to me, it's just whatever you prefer, preferences.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Yeah, like, I definitely know that I shouldn't be using Audacity. I know that I shouldn't be. And I could see the look on your face. But I know I've tried twisted way I've tried Reaper. I've tried like when Audacity screwed me over. I tried all these different programs, and I'm like, I can't do it. It's too complex. It's too many buttons. There's too many. I couldn't figure it out at all.
You get
And
overwhelmed.
I think that's why Audacity's so big, because it's just the basic one. Like, it's like press.
It's very basic.
Yeah, press this to go there. Like, press this to start, and that's it. Like, there's a big button that says start recording, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly
usually what a big red button is for.
That's it. Like,
yeah.
I can press a big red button and I know it's going to start recording.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and the fact that it's free as well. Like, there's so many positives to it. But yeah, like Twisted Wave seems to be probably too simplistic from Audacity as well. I don't know. Just the interface didn't seem very nice, and I don't know. I felt like it couldn't do everything that I wanted it to, and it might just be my comfortability. The fact I've been so long. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
So, what was your favorite project to work on?
I don't know how to answer that.
Any way you want.
Okay, I need to say Mila. Like, that's an easy one, because it represents the beginning of my professional career, and the fact that I went over to the States for her, and
that's so exciting. Like,
it was just a complete dream, and like that, she unlocked all of that for me.
Yeah.
I associate Freedom Planet with meeting Dawn Bennett and Alejandro Saab and Steven, the developer, and I just associate so much with this game. And it's a really great example of how valued the voiceover talent is too. Like, every time it's somebody's birthday, like, they send out a post wishing them a happy birthday and saying, yeah, go and wish them happy birthday as well. And it was just such a lovely environment, and meeting them in person didn't change anything. It was really amazing.
That's awesome.
But I also just love voicing her. Like, I feel like I could do it in my sleep now, and I think I just embedded so much of what I learned about voiceover in her as well.
Yep.
Yeah, but another role, for different reasons, would have to be Alicia from Battlerite as well.
Yeah. That's a battle royale game, if I'm not wrong.
So she's in there as well. And I'd wanted to work with Sound Cadence Studios for so long as well. So she represents my first experiences with voicing with that studio too.
Yeah.
And it was probably my most, my least anticipated role. Like, I sent out that audition and I thought nothing else of it. And I remember waking up one morning, a little over a year ago now, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't actually believe that I got that. Like, I'd completely forgotten about it, and I knew...
Yeah.
But I know through Sound Cadence Studios the voice talent that I was up against for this role, which is why, once again, you audition, you forget. And that got to me, because I knew that I'm up against Funimation voice talent. And that was really incredible to me. I didn't think I would get that at all. So that one's really important. Yeah,
that's awesome. So sorry, Marsh, you go.
Oh, I was just saying that was great.
Yeah. Okay, so you've worked on bigger titles like Battlerite, Freedom Planet, and Siegecraft Commander. So how have these titles helped you move forward with your career?
I feel like any voice actor who says that their past work doesn't influence their future work is lying. Because I feel like it is important. When I do send a cold email, it depends on the studio that I'm pitching to. But if it is a platforming game, if it does include anthropomorphic characters, if I mention Mila from Freedom Planet, they're more likely to know what it is. And so I get a lot more feedback saying, oh, I played Freedom Planet, I loved it. I heard your work as Mila, it was really good. And you are more likely to kind of get that work as well if they've heard your work before. And same thing, like if I'm email to a developer who does MOBAs, if I mention Alicia from Battlerite, they're like, oh yeah, I play Battlerite, great work with Alicia, and they're more likely to remember you. So I definitely think that helps. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that, but it's I think that it's definitely helpful in that regard.
Yeah, definitely. All right, sorry. All right. So,
Do you think there's a? Oh yeah, sorry.
go no go on.
Go. Um, living in Australia, do you think this is a disadvantage to you for voice acting, or do you think it's a blessing in disguise?
I was about to ask the same question.
Oh well, I think you do it.
Great minds think alike.
I don't know. Maybe it is a blessing in disguise, but particularly coming back from the States, all I did was saw it as a disadvantage. And I talked to other like aspiring voice actors here in Australia as well. And their explanation is kind of just go overseas. And where like that was their plan. They want to go overseas and pursue more. They want to pursue anime and game and voiceover for games and things like that. And I kind of had the different mindset in terms of there's more here that can be done. Like when I've been doing panels and things like that, I feel like it's just finding voiceover talent is relatively unknown. In terms of the voice acting in itself, I do see the Australian accent as an advantage, because there are a lot of, particularly in commercial work, there's a lot of jobs that are just looking for an international English accent. They don't want to be able to pinpoint where the voice is coming from. And typically when we do use, it sounds crazy, but typically when we do use an Australian accent, they think, oh, it's kind of British, but kind of not. And so you can't necessarily pinpoint where we're from. And then sometimes with different game specs as well, they'll say, oh yeah, we could use a North American voice, or it could be like do a second take of your choice. And there's been a few occasions in which, okay, I've given them what they wanted, and then I've done an Aussie take with a bit of an added quirk of some sort, and then I get cast for that. So so long as a voice talent and you're from Australia, so long as you do have that blindingly good North American accent and you have that Aussie voice kind of in your arsenal, then I think that is quite special. But in terms of the job opportunities, I do think we're at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Obviously the big studios are based in America and stuff like that.
Yeah, like you have to be where the work is. Like obviously, as I mentioned before, the technology is getting better, but I don't know if they're going to end up doing anime remotely. So I feel like that's one thing that's forever not going to be an option. So technology is getting better in that regards, but I don't know. I try to be very realistic, but then I've been surprised with some of the opportunities that have come out of Australia as well. So
like
I haven't discovered how high the ceiling is yet.
As you said, you apply for everything, sort of thing. Everything that comes up, you apply. You're applying for. You're cold calling, and So anyway, I just went off into my own little world then, and then I thought of my own question. And now I've forgotten the question. Oh, there we go. I got it. Don't worry. So when you did Freedom Planet, and you flew over to America, did they pay for that, or did you have to get your own way there, sort of thing?
So basically, with Freedom Planet, we had initially gotten like a small flat payment, and then we had gotten royalties from the game as well, which was pretty amazing because that's pretty much unheard of in indie game development as well. Which was really amazing. So what ended up happening was initially I wasn't going to go overseas, like due to obviously it kind of conflicting with being a primary school teacher, and the fact I didn't feel comfortable kind of going on my own without my partner too. I just wasn't in a position where I felt comfortable doing that. And I spoke to Stephen and I had said, oh, look, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm happy to record remotely. And he goes, look, I really need this to happen. I really want all the voice talent to come over here to Dallas. And he said, how about we forfeit your royalties? And he said, I'll give it to you up front and you can book the flights.
Oh, well,
which was really amazing. So basically, instead of getting my royalties for the last couple of years, it's basically paid off those flight tickets.
That's
cool. It was just like getting that money in advance, which was really lovely. And I still think to myself, what if I hadn't gone overseas like initially planned, and that would have been madness.
You wouldn't be where you are, I'd assume. Or maybe you would be.
But... Oh, I don't think I would have been. I think that changed everything.
It just got you into that thing that, this is what you wanted to do. This is what...
that mindset.
So, what advice would you give someone who is starting out in the voice acting and voiceover area sort of thing?
So somebody in Australia?
Yeah.
Preferably
Okay.
in Australia,
Yeah, so when I've done panels, I basically said really hone in on a North American accent just so you instantly for a different portion of jobs because there aren't a lot of jobs actively seeking Australian voice talent for games.
yeah.
So you really need that accent. Secondly, make sure this is what you want to do as well. So just get a little USB microphone and give it a go just as a hobby voice actor. And if you
Yeah.
like it, and if you are getting some payments, reinvest it in your business, get an actual XLR microphone, get acoustic foam. You don't need to start out with all of that, but just go into Casting Call Club, go into Voice Acting Club, use Twitter, word of mouth. So if you've got any friends who are making games or films or asked to voice act in them,
Yep.
that if you're putting the work in, you will start getting that repeat clientele. You'll start getting those testimonials, those referrals, and then the work will eventually start coming more often.
Nice. So just
and Newgrounds as well. I recommend Newgrounds. I always forget about Newgrounds, but that's kind of where I got my start as well. And there's a lot of animators and game developers on there now as well.
Newgrounds.
Yeah.
I'm playing on that site for years.
I remember that website.
They're still around. It's only been the last year actually where Voice Talent have been making sure that their profiles are up to date because they haven't seen them in years as well.
Yeah, but they've just popped up again.
Yeah, they've got a whole new wave of game developers, mainly because of that not safe for work content, which they're not allowing on some platforms. They're kind of adopting all these other developers.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But obviously, I'm not recommending that side so much, but there's still lots of safe for work projects too.
Yeah, so I guess if you're looking for work and you're in that sort of starting off area, that it can be a way to start by just getting that one or two jobs to get used to it, get into the flow of things, sort of thing.
Yeah, for fun. Yeah, learn about the process. But obviously, I wouldn't recommend it for those under 18. And I make that very clear at conventions because I've had a couple of parents say, "Oh, how can my kids get started in this?" And I'd say, "Okay, look, what I was saying about Newgrounds earlier, maybe don't do that yet. Wait until
that
uncomfortable."
That site was pretty cool.
Very explicit.
Yeah, there is some great stuff on there though. Like I'd voiced in a heap of animations and things on there, and they still produce some very good content. I just wouldn't recommend it for kids.
Yeah, definitely not for kids.
Little side note.
Even though I'm 80% sure me and Marsha used to try that site when we were pre-teen.
Yeah.
You remember clearly.
Denying that.
Good times.
There's actually some funny stuff.
Oh yeah, that was a site. That was a website of just reminiscing on our pasts.
Bit of nostalgia.
Yeah.
So funny. The video froze at both of you looking to the side with a grin on your face. Very sus.
We did that on purpose.
Yeah. That was made to be that was
Well, we've talked about a lot of roles that you'd like and what you've applied for and all that sort of stuff. But do you have a least favorite one? Or they've just all been enjoyable to an extent, obviously.
They haven't all been enjoyable, but obviously state the types of projects. Look, it definitely, one factor is the voice type. Like those closest to your normal pitch, you can for much longer. Like I've done an ogre character with multiple revisions, and it would just destroy my throat. So no, that one was very enjoyable. And obviously it can depend on experiences with developers too. So there are a lot of factors involved. There's not one I would list, obviously. Communication is important. Context is important. And ensuring that you're doing the right thing as a voice actor too. And anything that you show on your demo reel, you need to maintain with longevity as well, or it's just going to make for an unpleasant experience.
Yeah, definitely.
That's understandable.
Everything that you do can obviously help you, or if you do something that wasn't the best. It can come. I guess it could come bite you on the ass in the future.
Yeah, that's it. Like, there's no point in really trying to maintain a particular job if you're sick the next day and then can't take on any more work. So it's kind of the trade-off you need to decide on. So I personally know that I wouldn't audition for another ogre anytime soon.
Yep.
Just a couple of years ago, and obviously with warm-ups and with practice and stuff. So maybe in another year or something, I might be able to do it comfortably and with appropriate vocal placement. But yeah, as of right now, I'm like, nope. I remember how bad of experience that was last time, so I'm going to hold off for a little bit.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So, do you have a favorite role to play, or like any sort of, hero, villain?
Villains.
Villains?
Yeah, I have a couple of voice actors and developers who actually joke about it because they're like, oh, you're so nice, but you do these villain characters quite well. Like, I'm voice acting to Steam and PlayStation 4 this year, actually, and the game's called Effie by Invert Studios. And I voice for the role of Effie, who's a little child, and I voice for Malira as well, who is your typical villain, which I love.
Yep.
And even in a game called Hero X as well, I voice a villain named Desire. So I actually do them quite a lot, considering that my archetype was more of the high-pitched anime type of characters.
Yeah.
Surprisingly gone the other way, where I'm voicing for a lot more deeper-pitched or sensual or just malicious types of characters. But yeah, I love it. It's only been the last couple of years which I've been cast as that, so that's cool. I didn't know that about myself.
that you had a little bit of villain inside you.
There was a small part of me that knew.
Oh wow. Something. Yeah. You got any more questions, Luke? Or
no,
I've ran through all mine.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's about it. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Like your socials?
Oh, well, I heard you kind of touched on those. So my website was www.aimeesmithva.com. My Twitter is aimee_smithva as well, and I'm pretty much that username across all of my socials as well. But thank you guys so much for having me. I had fun.
Thank you so much for joining us.
That's right. That's great. It was great to
get some in-depth.
What was that? That went all robotic for me.
What? You're frozen again.
Now.
looks like you're sleeping.
Please tell me my internet's not screwing up.
Oh no, you just. Yep.
You there?
Yep. All right. Oh, brilliant. That's gonna make that's gonna make for some good content there.
Sitting laughing.
All
right.
All right. No, you're all good. All good. So yeah,
what the fuck is this?
If you want to, make sure you do go follow Aimee Smith on her Twitter. That was at Aimee Smith VA. That's AIMEE Smith VA, not AMY. Just for listeners or viewers. Yeah. So thanks so much to Aimee for joining us on today's episode of the Hits Up podcast.
No worries.
Thank you for knocking off the first one for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was. So I'm the first voice actor you guys have had on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I am flattered.
So we're what are we? 10 episodes, 11 episodes. We've done 11 normal episodes of our podcast. So we've done
10. We done 10 because the one with Chris that was over Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How funny is that? Christmas. Okay.
Yeah, you're the first voice actor. We had a gaming developer on not long ago over Christmas, as you just said. He was a gaming developer. So we're just we're trying out new things. We're doing little things here and there, and I appreciate it very much.
No worries, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Do we have to?
No, there we
Okay,
go.
you do that.
No, all right.
Yeah. That was good. That was actually good. I like that.
And just one sec. To all our listeners and viewers, thank you for watching the Hit Start podcast. First ever premium episode. These will be out on Patreon 48 hours after we record them. Each and every recording. In the future, these will be once a month. I made a small mistake and I overcompensated for everything, so me and Marshy will be working out because I managed to get a whole bunch of different people on board. So we're going to be releasing a whole bunch of different episodes in the coming few days. Few. We're releasing a lot more episodes in the coming future, just for a small amount of time until we catch up. We play catch up of my mistake. Yeah, do you want to have anything else to say?
No, I hope you enjoy the inside of the voice actor.
Yep.
We hope to get some more on and some more different, some more disciplines within the gaming industry.
Yep.
We've got a few lined up, so
yeah,
stay tuned. Subscribe to Patreon or Patron.
Subscribe to the Patron.
It was a delight to have Aimee on. It was very good.
Yes.
Outstanding what she's done. And I'm
Definitely.
glad we got a little bit of mention of Dragon Ball Z in there.
So yeah, as I mentioned, that we'll be releasing a few more episodes because of I made a mistake.
But that's all right. There's more content for you guys.
Yeah, definitely more content for you guys. But these will be once we catch up and I guess we're going to get a little bit of back catalogue for you guys. We will see.
Once a month.
It'll be once a month. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you go follow us on our socials. Everything is at HitStartPod. And you can check out our Patreon. I guess you're a Patreon subscriber. Patreon.com/HitStartPod. All right. That's the HitStart podcast.
That's a wrap, guys.
Hitting stop on another episode. Bye, dickheads.